young? Or am I faking on the tip of my tongue? There's a sarcasm waiting for you. I'm willing to trade my soul for a bit of your charm. There's no way I fade into oblivion, 'cause I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. There's mud on the floor, desperate people trying to get through the door, although the room's already crowded. But I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. Zeros, everybody's trying to be heroes when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. And keep trying again. I'll keep shining over you all with your wings entwining. You better face the fall. Zeros, everybody's trying to be heroes when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. Are you okay? I'm not that sure.
Elimination race at Kentucky Way. We are now down to 8 drivers in the playoff hunt for the championship, and going into this race tonight at the 1 mile magic mile, as they like to call it, it ought to be a fun one for sure. Joined next to me just temporarily for a little while over here is our Mr. Producer over here, Jeff Johnson. Jeff, before we get Kyle back in the booth to have some great conversations about this fantastic race to come up, what do you think is going to happen with the race tonight?
Well, the Great Lakes Truck Series kind of has a reputation for being just a grab bag. We've seen all types of races this season, and I don't think tonight will be any different. We've seen a lot of good races, and we've seen a lot of bad races. As the season's gone on, I think we've skewed more to the good side, so I'm actually looking forward to seeing a good race here tonight.
Looking forward to a good race indeed, and it ought to be a fun one. Different track for these drivers. Haven't been here in quite a while in this series, and so it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers try and figure out how to get their trucks around here, how to make passes, and how to make up positions. And one of the cool features we're going to have to start you out for as we start heading out onto these pace laps is we're going to be able to talk to at least one of our playoff drivers tonight. As we come on to the booth over here, Austin Moore, welcome to the booth. You made it to the round of 8 after Kentucky, starting off currently as the 8th seed. But going into this race at New Hampshire, you're going to be starting 11th place. What do you think the keys are going to be to this race to try and help your way into the next round?
I mean, it's pretty much what's been going on this whole playoffs for, kind of like the same strategy. Just try to make sure the truck's clean at the end of the race and try to get as many points as you can. I squeaked my way through the last round for sure. So just trying to, hopefully the whole same thing happens this round. And I know there's a lot of tough competition to get into the Final Four. It's going to either come down to a win or either some misfortune to others. So just gonna hopefully just do what I got to do, and hopefully there's a good race ahead of me.
Now, as one of only a couple drivers here that made it through to the round of 8 without a victory, you and Hunter Madalinas, what do you think the key here is to be consistent enough to make the next rounds and score all the points that you needed to get as far as you have? And do you think things will have to change to try and make the Final Four?
Yeah, it's just like I said before. It's just basically just pointing your way in there. Hopefully, if other people outside the top outside the top 8 get a win, it's easier to point your way in there. But obviously, the win is the key thing to do. But Hickory's going to be difficult with the short track guys out here, especially tonight as well. Homestead is it's a strong point for myself and the rest of the team. So just going to hope on a lot of luck. I know I'm the underdog a little bit here, so just hopefully I don't tear up my right front up like a old bag of licorice out here, and have ourselves a good race.
That seems to be the key for sure. Before we quickly let you go here, as we're going to be heading on to, I believe this is 1 to green next time by. Quick question. How do you think you're going to make passes around here tonight?
Keys to just keep the right front on the car, and hopefully just kind of have the diamond out the corner and try to outposition someone going into it. And there's going to be a lot of slide jobs for sure, just getting position, and just that's the key. Just try to keep the right front on there, because it's really really important around this short 1 mile.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Austin Moore, driver of the number 91 truck. He'll be starting 11th tonight. Thank you for coming in to talk to us. We're going to send you back down to talk to your teammates as we're getting ready to get the green flag. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We're coming around onto the back straight. Should be 1 to go this time by. Jake Miller, playoff contender, on the pole with Zachary Henry, 2 of the strongest guys in the playoffs so far from last season and this season as well. It's going to be a great race out there tonight. Green flag is out in the outside lane. Gets going way better than our pole sitter, Jake Miller. Zachary Henry's going to get the spot heading down into turn 1. That's going to allow Jake Miller to be stuck in a battle here with Hunter Brittle, who got a great qualifying run in 4th. He's going to slot his way into 2nd. Then the battle's behind him with Josh Cottle on the bottom. Looks like Brittle on the top is going to get the run down the back straightaway, but they're going to be too wide for the 4th position behind them, with Ashton Lawson on the outside. He's going to be in the less preferred lane, see if he can get the spot on Madalinas. Yes, he will. Single files out. The next battle behind there is Elliot Henderson trying to battle Jacob Hayes right there. He's going to get clear around the outside, and then behind them, RJ Williams, but not yet, as Elliot Henderson kind of misses the entry of the corner. He's going to be stuck in the battle once again with Jacob Hayes as they round turn 2. These guys are in a duel as Elliot Henderson gets a little bit loose. Oh, that was a big struggle there for that driver. Drivers all over the place. Austin Moore, we talked to him at the beginning, and Lewis Woodall, previous winner on the season, side by side down into turns 3 and 4. Austin Moore going to take the very bottom lane. He's going to, like he said, he's going to try and keep the right front off it, give as much space to that guy on the outside as possible, as they're almost about to go 3 wide, as Gonzalez is going to take it 3 on the bottom here, just in the back half, the top 10. He's not going to be able to complete it. Austin Moore is forced to wash up a little bit wide, almost into Lewis Woodall. He's going to cut it off down low, and they're going to stay side by side down the back straight. Oh, and it looks like we got a battle for the 3rd spot further up. Josh Cottle taking the spot on the inside to Hunter Brittle, who's stuck around the top. Can Cottle get the run on the bottom coming off the corner? They're going to be side by side. Dead heat down the back straight, down into turn 3. Josh Cottle, a good short track driver, qualified towards the front. He's making his moves to get some more position and try and run down our leaders, as he's going to be able to clear Hunter Brittle off the corner. I believe I also saw that Lewis Woodall heading down into turn 1, wasn't to interrupt you there, he went way wide into the entry of 1, washed way up the track, and lost about 4 positions on the racetrack, and seems to have some left side damage, possibly could be some contact. He was racing around Austin Moore and Gonzalez. Have to check up if any of those vehicles have any right side damage, and checking in, it looks like Jordan Gonzalez may have been the problem, as I'm seeing a bit of right front damage on that. It's just kind of the thing that happens here at New Hampshire. A lot of guys like to take the corner in different ways. Diamonding seems to be a common strategy here, as we're going to hopefully get the replay here for you about what happened between those two drivers. Out of turn 4 here, you see Woodall trying to get the spot on Austin Moore, but slots back. Gonzalez takes advantage of that and sends it into the corner, but oh man, just washes way up into the 13 of Lewis Woodall. He gets away with it, but Woodall lost a good number of spots and ought to not be happy about that one. Looks like these drivers getting all nice and calm, kind of figuring it out. You know, this is a racetrack that even though you start to see it go single file, it never really feels like you can't ever make the move on drivers. It just feels like it takes a while to get it done, as we're going to start seeing a move here for the 4th spot. Ashton Lawson on the inside of Hunter Brittle for the 4th position. He'd been hounding on him on the back bumper for a while, not going to be able to stay side by side out of turn 4, but Lawson is going to send it back into 1. Seems to have a lot more speed, just not enough to get around him right now. And the spot has changed hands between those two drivers. Ashton Lawson has found the spot in 4th, just ahead of Hunter Brittle. There's a slight connection issue there for him, but he's going to be able to drive away and try and chase down our leaders. Outside of that, yeah, you're talking about Josh Cottle. He got the win at 5 Flags earlier this year, is hounding on the back bumper of Jake Miller right now. A driver who really seems to be able to manage the brakes and reapplication of the throttle, just good at those short tracks and flat, you know, real slow around the corners. He just seems to be able to manage the rotation and the tires on the vehicle much better than some others around here. And so he's a good contender for the victory tonight. Even though everybody's been saying that Hickory's going to be his race, this might be the race for him tonight.
Well, yeah, that's one thing about this Great Lakes Truck Series we've seen, is we have such a wide skills gap from the front to back. We have drivers that absolutely excel and dominate at some types of tracks and can't really get anything done at others. We've seen it all season long with drivers like Josh Cottle, who may not have the best mile-and-a-half races, but at a track that requires a little bit of technicality and a little bit of finesse, we see them excel. We see the same thing with, you know, drivers like R.J. Williams and Hunter Madalinas.
Yeah, you see that with a bunch of different drivers. As you see the battle right here, Gonzalez up the inside of Austin Moore is getting a little bit loose, kind of struggling a little bit in that vehicle to keep it underneath him. Seeming to get loose, he's stuck on the high side. Barkowski actually looking to try and take advantage of it and follow Austin Moore, see if he could get a bit of a run here down the back. But those drivers are going to stay side by side here for what's going to be, I believe that's the 10th spot. So this could be a change for the top 10 right here. Austin Moore trying to battle for his top 10 life right now, but just not able to do it, as Gonzalez is going to hold the bottom, stay underneath him, still side by side, but heading into 1. This should be the advantage to the 3 truck, as Barkowski's going to try and take advantage, but
wow.
Gonzalez once again overshoots turn 1, makes contact, and man, the hopes of Austin Moore trying to keep that right side on that truck are dashed as he slams the outside wall.
Wow, almost identical to the incident he had a few laps ago with Lewis Woodall. Gonzalez just getting into the corner very hard, and Austin Moore was as high as he could have been while still being in the racing line, and he still ran into him. So Gonzalez, the loser there for right now, but we see a lot of damage on both of these trucks as Austin Moore, I mean, he pancaked both sides of that truck off of Jordan Gonzalez and off the wall.
Yeah, that was big time damage for Austin Moore. Now the lucky part for him is this is one of the racetracks is he's going to get passed by Nathan Jump, who's also one of our playoff contenders, started a little bit further back in 16th, is that now with that damage, he's going to be slower down the straightaways, but won't be struggling nearly as much in the corners because he will be going slower into and out of the corners. So he doesn't have to worry about the truck getting loose as, again, Gonzalez is really pinching that outside lane driver trying to go through turns 1 and 2. And Moore, I think, might have hit the wall, if not got really, really close, and is going to lose the spot there to Heller and the one truck of Brett Kingcott as well. Just not going well for one of our playoff contenders already so early in this event.
Yeah, I think Moore is driving angry now. I think in my heart of hearts, I think we saw Moore try to get up behind Gonzalez coming off of 2 and just got a little too tight off the corner and hit the wall before he could get to him. Maybe not trying to wreck him, but maybe trying to show his displeasure a little bit. Gonzalez, obviously not a playoff driver, and Austin Moore, this is only the first race in the final round before our championship. But Austin Moore definitely not dealt a good hand here early on, falling back to 16th position now, heading off of 4 as we start lap 20.
Yeah, this is just one of the situations that Austin Moore's not encountered very often this year. He's been a very clean driver. You haven't really seen him make any mistakes, and that's why he's here in the round of 8. Just one of the cleanest drivers in the field in terms of incidents, and that helped him make it this far. But with this issue so early in the event, could really cost him a chance of making the final 4s. We're seeing Gonzalez now make the pass back on Nathan Jump. Still seems to have some good speed in that truck despite the right side damage. And it could be one of the drivers trying to head further up towards the top 10. And just behind that is another playoff driver, Christopher Heller, who really did not have a good qualifying at all. Started in the 18th spot, back half the field. He's going to be making the pass here on Nathan Jump for the 12th spot, but is much further back than you typically expect this driver to be early in the event.
Well, that's something we've seen with Christopher Heller all season, is he's always been the type of driver that might qualify well, he might not, but at the end of the day, he always has a lot of speed once we get some of these longer runs going.
Oh, I almost saw a pass for the 2nd spot. Josh Cottle's looking up the inside of Jake Miller now. He's got the inside lane. I don't know if he's going to have the run off turn 4. Miller kind of goes a little bit wide but carries the speed off. But Josh Cottle's been faster. He's finally found the position up the inside, and he's looking to make the pass now. He's got the preferred lane inside of turns 1 and 2. You see Ashton Lawson in the back kind of praying and laying in the wake, trying to see who ends up winning this duel and who to go with. But these two drivers are in a deadlock for the 2nd spot as the leader starts to pull away.
Yeah, the leader's pulling away. Ashton Lawson actually made up about half a second on these drivers once they started battling. And right now, I'm not seeing a clear winner. It's looking like both of these drivers are making good use of their lines, and nobody has the advantage right now.
It looks like Josh Cottle has the advantage into 1 as he full sends it down into turn 1, slides way up the track, blocks the line for Jake Miller, and is going to make the pass off turn 2. Is Miller going to take it back into 3? Doesn't look like he will. He's going to sit in line and fall in behind him. Probably smart for his own tires, but he's going to take it wide to the entry of 3. Might have opened the door to Ashton Lawson. Luckily, Lawson didn't expect that coming, didn't take the position, but now he's under a lot of pressure from that 24.
Yeah, we've gotten far enough into the run now. Where is...
Oh, Jake Miller with the send! Trying to make something happen on the bottom, but I don't know what the attempt there is. Now that Ashton Lawson's going to get a big run down the back, Jeff, here we go.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure Jake Miller meant to make that move. That was a very curious move heading into the corner. He was all the way on the brakes and just got on the apron. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what he intended to do right there, but whatever it was, it did not work out in his favor, as Ashton Lawson now is looking to his inside and will probably get the position here in the next few laps.
Yeah, I believe that line is the super late model qualifying line, as I heard from somebody before. So there was an attempt to make that one work for a single lap, but didn't, as now he's getting passed by Ashton Lawson. Now he's going to fall back to the 4th position, and Hunter Brittle, who got passed a little bit earlier, is not too far behind these guys. He's kind of stayed in that 5th spot. The first non-playoff... Actually, no, Ashton Lawson is the first non-playoff car, but this is a driver who's kind of had a lot of problems this year, a lot of bad luck, and despite some decent runs, it's just not been able to put it together with some unfortunate incidents and some stuff that's not even his fault entirely. But right now, having a fantastic run in 5th place.
Yeah, you said it. Hunter Brittle really has probably been one of my most improved drivers this season. He's had a lot of good races that have just ended in disaster through absolutely no fault of his own.
As we're trying to look up and down the field to see any movement, looks like really some of the closest battling is happening in the back half of the field. I think I'm seeing a bit of a battle here for the 18th spot between Fitzgerald and Steven Sims. Steven Sims, driver who's had a lot of speed this year. Actually, one of the drivers we've been talking about every now and then who could try and contend for a victory tonight, though, a lot further back in the field, as
Something
might have seen a glimpse there of something happening towards the front, but I think it's all sorted out, and these two are having an absolute brawl back here for the 18th spot. You know, penny change to some, but means everything for these two, as it means bragging rights who is faster tonight, and these two want to have the spot. Steven Sims passed him, but Fitzgerald crossed him over, got up the inside. Oh,
wow.
They made contact! Glad we caught this battle. Might have been a caution there, but they saved it, and that's going to give Steven Sims the spot. Can't believe none of them didn't wreck there.
That was another one of those moves that looked so similar to the incidents we've seen so far with Jordan Gonzalez up in turn 1 and 2. It's like the driver on the inside just expects to be able to wash up a lot more than they actually do, and they just, I mean, absolutely, they just door the hell out of the driver to their outside, just trying to get through the corner.
I mean, it does sometimes get hard to keep the vehicle on the bottom, especially with some setups. The way they're kind of built, you kind of have to set it up with the brakes, and if you get a little bit too hard on them, it'll just go in a straight line, and that could be what's happening, is you're seeing guys on the inside try and brake at the same time as the outside lane, but they have to turn in a lot sooner, so it's not really working that well for them, and they're kind of overshooting the corner and running into the guy in their outside, and we've seen that several times tonight. Trying to see what's going on throughout the field, and it looks like the update to playoff disaster for Austin Moore just does not seem to be going well for him. Down to the 21st position with all the damage he had early on in the event. Just struggling right now. I think the hope for him is that a caution comes out at some point before the leaders catch up so that he could get some damage fixed. This race is going by fast, and without some luck coming his way, I think tonight might be the throwaway night that he's hoping to forget about for the rest of the season, because this could cost him his championship 4 hopes.
Yeah, as these laps click by pretty quickly, we're already on lap 32. We're going to be coming up on green flag pit stops here in a while, and I think somebody like Austin Moore wants to see right now is a yellow. This is probably the hardest he'll have rooted for one all season, because at a track like New Hampshire, a lot of that damage can be fixed, and he could probably get, I would estimate, about half of his speed back as he drives it way off into the corner, just trying to get everything he can out of this beaten and battered race truck.
Yeah, that's not a race truck that's very happy right now. He's struggling and is about to get passed by another driver right there, Ross Brockman in the 52, as he washes way up the track. And it seems like we might have a battle developing further up towards the front, around the 7th position, between Elliot Henderson and Jacob Hayes. Those two have been the closest battle up towards the front of the field that I've seen. Elliott kind of taking a wider line like we saw at Kansas and cutting it back to try and get a run down the straightaway. Jacob Hayes getting the traditional line as Hayes gets really loose off turn 4, but at the same time, Elliott got really tight and nearly slammed the outside wall. These two might be driving their heads a little bit as Elliott sends it in, trying to get to the back bumper, not able to get there. This might be a duel that could develop into something a bit bigger.
Yeah, these guys are just about brawling for the 7th position now. Hayes is going to pull out the gap just a little bit, but Elliott is going to get it to the bottom and drive as hard as he can off the corner.
Oh, I think this is it right here. Hayes has been really struggling on the rear tires. We've seen it back-to-back corners. He's just the back end kicking out from underneath him. Elliott's going to take advantage of that, send it up the inside. Seems to have better grip on the tires and is going to easily clear him through turns 1 and 2 as Hayes nearly loses it again out of turn 2. That is a vehicle not driving very well, and he's driving the wheels off of it to keep it going.
Well, for not driving really well, he's still running in the 8th position. So, nothing to not be proud of right now.
Nothing to not be proud of, and for sure he's got to keep it going. But I think a battle that we might need to start watching past this is for the lead. Josh Cottle has caught on to the back bumper of Zach Henry and has been making some serious progress. These drivers taking a unique line, going very high up the racetrack, diamonding it all the way down and arcing it off. And it seems like Josh Cottle has really found some speed doing that more so than everybody else. He's going to take it a little bit low through turns 1 and 2, a lot lower
Wow.
as a matter of fact. Zach Henry way up the track is going to have a run off the corner, but lost a lot in the corners. This is going to be a great battle for the lead here.
Yeah, I think that this battle for the lead is going to take us right up to our first cycle of green flag pit stops. And I think what we're seeing is, we're seeing tire management come in. I think Josh Cottle probably was able to save his stuff for the first half of this run. New Hampshire is one of those tracks where tires do mean a significant amount as we get late into the run, and now we're seeing that pay dividends for right now for Josh Cottle as he is battling with Zachary Henry for the lead, heading off to turn number 3.
Well, he's up the inside. He's got the position into 3. Typically the spot you want to be, kind of lower in that second lane, swings it up a little bit into the third lane, dives it back down. He's going to have a big run. He's going to be slightly ahead. Will he lead this lap to the line? Yes, he will. Josh Cottle takes the lead away from Zach Henry, who's led it since the drop of the green. Washes them both up the track. He's going to cut it back down at a 2. Can Zach Henry hold it on the outside? Doesn't look like he will. Henry a little bit loose as Josh Cottle has the advantage into 3. Is he going to send it, or is he going to just run his line? He's going to get low, wash it up a little bit high, and that is a cleared move right there. Josh Cottle, new leader.
Yeah, Cottle's going to take the lead fairly easily. Looking back on it, we're now seeing Ashton Lawson start to catch these leaders as they have battled for a little bit. And something I just noticed, Alex, that I hadn't really caught on to is that these leaders, this top 10 are I mean, they are absolutely flying. We are not even towards the end of this first green flag run, and we are coming up on lapped cars. We're coming up on a lot of lapped cars. They're already starting to catch the back half of the field.
I'm actually seeing drivers pitting right now. There's a couple of them that pit, notably one of them being Nathan Jump, playoff contender, pit about 5 laps ago. Ended up missing that one. He's kind of behind our leaders right now, but he had already pit. But our leaders are still been out a lot longer than him. Quite the strategy gamble here to pit at that time. If they could make it a lot further, it might be worth trying to save the field to the end. But if not, maybe it's the call of a lifetime.
Maybe. It all depends on how long these leaders plan on going. If they're going to go another 20 laps and essentially just do one less pit stop than these guys that have already pit, then it's kind of all for naught at a track like New Hampshire. But there's something to be said about strategy. Nathan Jump was kind of running towards the mid pack. I think outside of Austin Moore's issues before he pit, Nathan Jump was the lowest running playoff driver. And sometimes that's just what you have to do. You have to play the strategy a little bit and hope it works out in your favor.
The struggle here, though, is pitting this early and still being this far behind the leaders is that if a caution were to come out, which is possible during the pit cycle, it's just as easy as somebody slowing down to get to the pit lane and then getting tagged in the back bumper. He'll be trapped a lap down, or if not, be on old tires and still have to pit with all the leaders anyway, even if he makes it to the lead. I mean, I don't know how this is going to work out other than it going green flag cycle and then it runs an extra 15 or so laps with him out front. That's the only way I could see this working out for him.
Yeah, sometimes I think with the strategy we see in this series, these drivers do things that I would personally never think to do. And sometimes the only thing we could do is just wait and see how it works out for them. You know, if we get through a cycle of green flag pit stops and then right after that's completed, the yellow comes out, Nathan Jump is going to look like a genius. But now it sounds like we're starting to get some front runners heading towards pit road.
Yeah, looking to see any big changes up front.
There's Zach Henry.
Takes it down to the pit lane, missing the driver who's behind him, also taking that. I believe that's a bit further in the back, but Zach Henry taking the gamble. He lost the lead away from Josh Cottle, but he's going to pit early, try and take position. I see Brandon Markuski as well in the pit lane. Just behind him, I think Gonzalez as well. So a couple of drivers who have speed, notably playoff driver Zach Henry, taking this gamble early, who just came in just behind them back there. I'm missing who that driver is. Oh, that's our leader, Josh Cottle.
Yeah, it's looking like...
That's our leaders coming in now. Seems like the fuel's running out. They're coming down the pit lane.
Yeah, the button has been pressed. All these guys are coming to pit road in the next lap or two. We'll see how it shakes out. Looking for Cottle on my scoring monitor here as everything's going on there. Whoa! Okay, there goes Jake Miller just driving through a car. That was interesting.
Now, let's not talk about the ghosts here on iRacing. It's not a problem here. It's just a bunch of phantoms. And out of the pit lane first, that's going to be the 13 of Lewis Woodall. Then Austin Moore just in front of who was the leader, Josh Cottle.
So there's Josh Cottle coming off pit road, and here's Zach Henry already coming off turn number 2. So that is going to be at least a 1.5 to 2 second gain for Zach Henry coming out of this pit cycle.
I mean, these drivers were over a 1.5 seconds slower per lap than when they started the run. So 1 lap, 1.5 seconds, that's what it looks like right there as Zach Henry gets out in front and to the provisional lead when everybody comes around to the pit lane. Current leader, Hunter Madalinas, is finally coming down the pit lane now, and then behind him is Ross Brockman, the only other driver not to pit so far in this run. He might pit this time by? No, he's going to stay out an extra lap, so if Ross Brockman stays out and traps a good bunch of this field a lap down, it'll be an absolutely incredible call, but the fuel is running out for him.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen Ross Brockman pull this fuel strategy and manage to make something from it. Not looking right now like he's going to have to come to pit road in the next, I would say, 5 laps, if that, but he is the only one left. We've got Zach Henry up into the 2nd position.
Oh, the yellow flag is out, and might have been a big break for a couple of these guys, but the best break of all, Ross Brockman, current leader, did not pit and trapped a good chunk of the field a lap down. Luckily, not our leaders, but this makes an interesting pit call. And what it does make an interesting pit call is for Nathan Jump, who we were talking about. Pit earlier, way earlier, is up to 6th spot, but granted, there were some laps put on those tires, so he might have a tire advantage going on to this next run. Alright, now we're going to see what the cause of the caution was. We're going to be looking here at Jacob Hayes at some point. We believe he was the cause of the caution. Heading down to turn 3, he's just behind Eric Kepf here. See if there was any contact. He's got a lot of speed coming up on that 63 up the inside, side by side, and oh, no. And it looks like he just hit the close application button as soon as possible to get himself off the racetrack. But hard to exactly pinpoint who caused what there. At the same time, Hayes may have came up, but it looked like Eric Kepf was a little bit off the wall right there, causing the contact that threw this pitch strategy all out of control.
Well, that definitely, I mean, doesn't shake things up too much. I think a majority of the field had gotten back on the lead lap. A couple drivers they're probably going to have to take the wave around. Actually, right now, the only person I'm seeing who's in the wave around position is Lewis Woodall in the 13. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. Lewis Woodall is not actually a playoff driver anymore, right? He's just got that confusingly blue banner.
No, he's just forgotten to take the banner off. That's all.
I'm going to have a conversation with his paint team after this. But yeah, Lewis Woodall, the only driver right now in position to get that wave around. And I'm only seeing... Oh my, the only driver that's a lap down right now, it looks like Austin Moore just got put a lap down. He's going to opt to sit on pit road and fix as much of that damage as he can.
Jeff, I'm questioning this call. Austin Moore was behind Zach Henry. He would have had the lucky dog position, I thought.
I'm wondering if he didn't take the lucky dog and then hit pit road, because he's still only a lap down. It's probably going to be 2 laps down when they come back by. So I'm wondering if he didn't just opt to take that lap and then just fix everything he can under this yellow, because you never know. This might be the only chance he gets to sit on pit road and fix the bulk of the damage. Or we could see this turn into one of those typical Great Lakes races where the yellows start coming fast and furious after this, and he'll get plenty more opportunities to fix that damage and get back on the lead lap.
Well, I'll have to check real quick that he doesn't go an extra lap down. He's going to get out of his pit box just before the pace car comes by, so he won't go a second lap down, but will be the last car 1 lap down for certain. As we get the 1 to go, Zach Henry, our leader, takes the outside lane in front of Jake Miller, and Josh Cottle will be on the inside of him, just in front of Ashton Lawson.
It's going to be an interesting restart. These drivers have had about 48 laps to feel their trucks out, and now the majority of them are going to be on mostly fresh tires, so we're going to see these drivers be a little more aggressive than maybe they were on the original start, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the call for Zach Henry to take the outside. It worked for him on the initial start. He got the jump on the control car, managed to get ahead of him down into turn 1, taking the outside lane. So as the control car taking the outside lane, he should easily be able to clear into turn 1, at least you would imagine. But we've got a different contender side by side. We got to see if Josh Cottle can get the good start. As we take the green flag, Zach Henry waits a second, but is going to get a great push from Jake Miller, and he's going to be way clear heading down into turn 1. Josh Cottle's going to have a brawl with Jake Miller on the outside, going to be able to clear him, and then they're going to be dueling there for the 3rd spot. Can Ashton Lawson hold it on the inside, try and get himself back into the 3rd spot, retain that position? Jake Miller's fighting it hard around the outside, not able to clear just yet into 3. He's going to take the wide entry, might be able to clear off a 4 using those tires to get some good speed out of it. Ashton Lawson's going to send it low. He's going to try and hang on to that quarter panel. Not able to do it. See if he gets slot in line here just in front of RJ Williams. Will RJ take the advantage? No, he will not. Ashton Lawson takes it low, blocks him off. We've slotted in the top 5, ladies and gentlemen, but it looks like the lead is not done just yet. Josh Cottle taking advantage of his good speed, and instead of waiting for the run to get to the end, he's going to try and take the lead now up the inside of Zach Henry into 3.
Josh Cottle making a statement here at New Hampshire as he is going to be battling Zach Henry for the lead. He's going to get that lap at the line.
He's going to have the advantage into 1. We've seen him with good speed. He's going to wash Jack Henry up the racetrack. Oh, might have been a bit of trouble further back in the field there. Josh Cottle takes the lead.
Cottle takes the lead. Ashton Lawson had a moment. I caught it just out of the corner of my eye. He had that truck about 45 degrees off the racing line heading into turn 1. I'm not entirely sure how he saved it, but you can kind of see the stack-up effect he's had on the field behind him.
Stack-up effect for sure, but helps out Jake Miller, who gets himself into the 3rd spot. RJ Williams looking to get the spot on him. I mean, a big slide like that, that's just going to simply hurt the tires, but ooh, may have been some close contact almost between Nathan Jump and Steven Sims in the 6th. Reminder, Nathan Jump took tires on the last caution, has the newest tires of anybody in the top 10 right now on the off-call strategy to try and get himself positions, and it looks like it's working out for him as he takes the outside of that 6 truck, gonna find himself into the 9th position, heading on to the next lap and into 1. We might see a driver try and creak his way here into the top 5.
Yeah, Nathan Jump definitely in a good position now. Only time's going to tell how it's going to shake out. But right now, definitely has the freshest tires on the track. Maybe not the fastest, but he definitely has that advantage Whoa, look at these drivers behind them. They're almost going 3 wide coming up off of 4.
Yeah, Russ Brockman, the 52 on the bottom, also on the same strategy as Nathan Jump. He stayed out in the last caution, trapped a few guys a lap down on the newest tires as well. He's making some good progress up the inside of Steven Sims for that spot as well, using those new tires to a good advantage. But man, it's a duel back there. Barkowski got a little bit loose off the corner. They're going to be 3 wide into 3. Absolute dogfight back here, just outside the top 10, just around the 12th, 13th position. It's going absolutely crazy back here.
Yeah, I'm seeing some of the hardest racing I've seen all season, and it's in the mid-pack. It's in the mid-pack in New Hampshire, which is not something I might have expected coming into this race. But the other thing to think about is a lot of these drivers didn't actually pit under that yellow, so we are seeing these drivers kind of, we're on, I would say, about 3 lap different tires between all of these drivers in the mid-pack. So, Alex, as a driver yourself, is that something that is going to play into it early this run, or is the yellow going to kind of negate the fact that, a driver might only have 3 laps better tires than someone else?
I think it's going to make it worse. I mean, the whole advantage of trying to pit early is to gain time on another driver pitting even 1 lap later as there's contact. Shane Neiswanger, Brandon Barkowski. Neiswanger lucky to not get into the outside wall, but the same problem we've seen with Gonzalez earlier in the race of overshooting the entry. Actually, Neiswanger, they were a little bit of right side damage, may have tagged the wall there. And he's going to get back to him, try and get to the back bumper, some aggressive racing. And Steven Sims goes around in 3 and 4. Oh! Christopher Heller, playoff driver, involved in that wreck. Oh, no.
Oh, that's going to be Heller's race done. You see the smoke coming out of that truck. So this is going to change things a little bit. Heller is going to be done for the day. And looking at the scoring sheet, it looks like he is probably going to wind up in the 25th position. So
he was our number 1 seed heading into this race. Granted, it was only about 1 point over his competitor Hunter Madalinas, but this is going to drop him from top seed to 8th seed by the time this race is over, as long as Austin Moore can finish the event at least 4 positions ahead of him. Gotta figure out what happened here with Steven Sims to get him spun around in 3 and 4. We see Ross Brockman on the newer tires, just gets to the back bumper, sends him around in a big stack up there. Heller with nowhere to go as Sims comes across the track, and with Gonzalez behind him piling in as well. Just nowhere to go for a driver pretty well positioned to make the Final 4.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can really blame anybody for that. I think Brockman just managed to get into the back of Steven Sims, and I think Steven Sims did the best he could when he realized he was going to loop it around. He just held the brakes, and I mean, there was really no good spot for that truck to spin, and it just so happened that he spun right in front of Heller, who you can see her had nowhere to go, right into the side of that 6 truck.
Yeah, right into the side, right into a lot of damage and a lot of woes heading into the rest of the playoffs. We have Hickory and Homestead coming up, and that's all that Heller's going to be thinking about after this race is over. Because for him, it's already over. That contact, he's essentially going to have no way of getting back into this race in any reasonable time frame. This driver pretty much out for the night and is going to end the first race of the round of 8 in calamity.
Yeah, so Christopher Heller, the first driver to have race-ending issues. Looking around the field, it looks like Austin Moore is back up to the 15th position. And
I was going to say, Jeff, I'm looking at the lineups here. It looks like that a lot of our front-running drivers pit under this caution. Reasonably so. I mean, our leaders are currently on a 17-lap stint with the exception of Nathan Jump and a couple others, but from Madalinas back, they've all pit and taken tires. We saw the advantage that it gave Nathan Jump. His tires only about 4 laps newer, so this ought to be a massive advantage for these guys.
yeah, I think the tone for this top 6 drivers just changed. 1 to go at the line, so we're going to be coming to the restart, but top 6 drivers have got to be, I would say, kicking themselves right now. I mean, I don't see how these guys last more than 5 laps when you have people like Hunter Madalinas, Zach Henry, Ashton Lawson, Elliott Henderson. Drivers like that are all going to be on fresh tires on this restart, and they're going to be on. Yeah, you said it, Kyle, Alex. They're going to be on 18-lap old tires, so this is not going to be good for them in the short term.
Well, our last caution was due to a driver on newer tires making contact with a driver on older tires. Anything could happen. They may have put themselves in the hot spot as the pace car drives onto pit road. Josh Cottle will be our control car. It's going to make a big jump to the front, clear Jake Miller on the outside. Miller's going to try and get down in front of RJ Williams. Not able to do it. RJ Williams taking it up the inside. Goes way up the track, almost washes him out into the dust out there. Gonna get a big run out of turn 2. Is RJ Williams gonna get the spot here as we watch Hunter Madalinas on those newer tires take advantage, take the outside lane. He's got to watch out though. There's a roadblock of drivers in front of him. Not much place to go. RJ Williams gets the spot in second, but we're watching this battle right here, right around Ashton Lawson, Madalinas, Senzi. We got to see if Madalinas can make some progress on those newer tires. Already up a couple spots from the initial start, but these drivers in front are side by side.
I was about to say, I'm seeing a lot of these drivers that are on the fresh tires take it easy. Elliott Henderson just threw it to the inside wall coming down the front straightaway, and by my count, he made up 4 positions getting into the corner. So Elliott Henderson is wasting absolutely no time trying to get to the front on these fresher tires.
Ashton Lawson now wants to be the first car on the new tires, takes it to the inside of Hunter Madalinas for the 6th spot. Is going to try and not hit him coming up the track a little bit. He's going to hold it low on the bottom. Nathan Jump with troubles in front of him. That's going to force him side by side once again, but Ashton Lawson is going to get the spot on Nathan Jump into the corner, or will he? No, he will not. Zach Henry, who started only in 2nd on the newer tires, is back to the 4th car on new tires, kind of trapped back there. Nathan Jump on that interesting strategy is going to start to fall back as these drivers are all over the place scrambling for positions.
Yeah, we're starting to see the field scramble up now, and these top 4 drivers now, but really did the best thing they could do is they just single filed out, and they're just riding. I mean, they're riding as fast as they can as these drivers on fresh tires are absolutely going to bear down on them over the next 10 laps.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier for them now that they're single filed out. Just gonna allow easy moves like we're gonna see with Ashton Lawson. Is he gonna send it up the inside of turn 1? We know Elliott Henderson would do that, and yes, he will. Gotta make sure he doesn't make contact. Washes Senzi way up the track, nearly contact between those 2 drivers. He's gonna hold it just high enough to not get hit by Ashton Lawson. Lawson try and takes it up the inside of Jake Miller into 3. Miller gonna hold the line just for now, but those newer tires are just gonna be too fast for him as Lawson gets the position, but Elliott Henderson is right on the back bumper waiting for Lawson to make a single mistake and make the pass.
Yeah, Elliott Henderson, he has hit the go button. I don't know what has gotten into this driver, but he came from, I believe, about 12th on the restart. He's up to 5th, and I mean, he wants to take the lead of everything. He's not just trying to get to the front of these lap cars. He wants the lead. And actually, I'm noticing, I don't know if you're seeing it too, Alex, I'm noticing a lot of front-end damage on that 37 truck.
Need to check in very quickly on that 37, see if there's significant damage. And yeah, I'm seeing it too. Look at that crumpled up nose on that 37. Doesn't look like there's a lot of damage right next to the tires. It looks to be centralized right on the front bumper, but that it will definitely affect his straight line speed. If not, possibly give him some engine damage. So Elliott Henderson, despite having some pretty damning damage, he's in the 4th spot right now, following Ashton Lawson as he carves his way through the field, trying to find his way towards the front, as now he makes the move up the inside of RJ Williams for the 2nd spot.
Gotta give these top 2 drivers, RJ Williams and Josh Cottle, a little bit of credit. I did not think they would last this long. I don't know if that says something about these drivers that were on new tires or these 2 drivers that were on the old tires, but I did not expect anybody in the top 6 on that restart to last this long, and here we are about 6 laps into it, and Josh Cottle still maintaining the lead, but now obviously has Ashton Lawson and Elliott Henderson coming up on him quickly.
I mean, that last lap, despite making a pass, Ashton Lawson gained about 2/10 on our leader. So while the tires are not drastically faster, they're fast enough to really make a difference as Ashton Lawson's closing the gap in on Josh Cottle, our current leader. Has had a very strong truck the entire night, but on the wrong strategy at the moment. Can he hold on for as long as he can? I don't think he will. The question is, when these two start going at it, will Elliott Henderson try and take advantage and slip up the inside, maybe even take it 3?
Maybe, maybe not. A driver like Elliott Henderson, I mean, he is the only, well, actually, I guess he's not the only playoff driver at the front right now because I'm blind, but he's sitting in a good position. Christopher Heller has had the first major malfunction of playoff drivers, and he's somebody who I think we could all agree was going to be a
Well,
contender
here we
for
go,
this
Jeff.
championship.
Pass for the lead. Sorry to cut you off, but Ashton Lawson, with no trouble whatsoever, takes it up the inside, clears Josh Cottle without a single trouble. Elliott Henderson follows him right through, and new leader Ashton Lawson for the first time tonight is going to take the lead while pitting on the new tires and getting the best of everybody on the restart.
Yeah, I think Cottle, you're going to see Ashton Lawson and Elliott Henderson just gap the field now, and Cottle, RJ, and all those other drivers who stayed out are going to go into conservation mode. They got as much time out front as they could, and now they're just going to try to maintain what they have left until they can hit pit road. Probably, I would estimate, here in the next 10 to 15 laps, Alex.
Yeah, well, Josh Cottle's going to have to pit in that amount of time because he's just simply not going to have enough fuel. Now, for the rest of the drivers who pit, they might be able to stretch it to the lap 100 point, see how far past that they can go. This could be a one-stop strategy for those drivers who pit if they're able to make it to a certain distance. I believe that would have to be around about lap 105, 1 or 2 lap difference about that spot for them to make it to the end. So, I mean, for the guys who pit, they kind of put themselves on a better strategy. The only reason why you would have stayed out there was pretty much hoping that the track position would help you out and that you get another caution. Because right now, Cottle's at a disadvantage. He's forced into at least a 2-stop before the end of this race.
Yeah, well, I'm not entirely convinced that these guys that pit and are on the freshest tires, I'm not convinced that they're going to be able to make it on one stop either. So really, like you said, only time is going to tell. Once we get to that lap 100 mark and beyond, the picture will become clearer.
Oh,
There's
good.
Shane Nicewanger.
I was going to say, good catch there as Shane Nicewanger tail whips it out of turn 4, trying to get underneath Gavin Fitzgerald there to get the position on him. These two going at it quite hard as we see the limping truck of Christopher Heller find his way back onto the racetrack for what we thought was race-ending damage, and only about, I'd say, what was it, 30, 40 laps, he's found his way back onto the track, so maybe he gains a spot or 2 here.
Yeah, 16 laps down. I get the strategy here for Chris Heller, because if this race goes south for any other drivers, he'll be in position to maybe pick up a couple more points, but that is a very damaged 11 truck, and Alex, that might be the fastest engine change in iRacing history.
Well, I'm not sure he had engine damage, or at least not enough engine damage to warrant an engine change, because we were most definitely not here for 30 minutes, so either the fastest engine change in iRacing history, or they just straight up gave him a new vehicle with a less powered engine and some damage that they took a sledgehammer and mimicked, because I've never seen a truck get out of the pits that fast with a broken engine.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to watch going through the race, because maybe if he didn't get all of that damage fixed and get that truck back into tip-top shape, we could see him have engine damage later on. But right now, the mid-pack, just like it did on the restart, we are seeing an absolute brawl happen from about 10th position back to the 16th position. Ross Brockman, Eric Kep, Shane Neiswanger, Gavin Fitzgerald, all in an absolute throwdown here to see who can be the better driver.
I mean, this has been the story of the entire race for these guys. They've been in a throwdown this entire time. We haven't been able to feature them every single time due to some great battles further up in the field, but we see Matt Durr right there take, once again, the super late model qualifying line and try and get up the inside of Ross Brockman. Not able to do it that time by, but these guys trying to get position on one another and have the bragging rights for being one of the highest up pink vehicles that really committed to the pink paint scheme.
Yeah, one thing we haven't really talked about a lot, we do have playoff drivers in this race, obviously, but we have, 25, 22 trucks out there that aren't in the playoffs and aren't here for anything other than experience and to win. And right now we're seeing Ashton Lawson, a non-playoff driver, with the benefit of a little bit of strategy. He is leading this race by a handsome margin over Elliott Henderson and Zach Henry.
Yeah, great margin for sure, but you mentioned Zach Henry and Elliott Henderson. Well, look at Zach Henry. Previous leader led all of the opening laps up until Josh Cottle. I'm hearing a wreck on the radio, possibly? No. I think that was Hunter Madalinas just calling stuff out to say that something was going to happen. They didn't end up doing nothing. My apologies. But, yeah, the battle up here for second is fantastic. We see Austin Moore kind of making a bit of a recovery there. Actually, speaking of Austin Moore, he was pretty much a lap down. We were talking about it, got the lucky caution to get himself back onto the lead lap, and here he is battling around the 16th position. This is right here. 15th is just ahead in Hunter Madalinas, so his day is not done just yet.
Listening to the radio, Alex, I think Hunter Madalinas and some of these drivers they might be having fun. I think they might be having some fun out there on the racetrack with this battle in the mid pack. And I got to be honest with you, in the races we've done for the last year and a half, I don't think I've seen a battle this intense in the middle of the field at this point in the race, maybe ever in Great Lakes.
Yeah, so far, New Hampshire Motor Speedway putting on a fantastic race up and down the field for these drivers in the Great Lakes Truck Series. Might be a future mainstay on the schedule, because this has so far been one of the best races of the year, as they're going at it all over the place, up, down the track. We got it up in second. We got it back here down in the trenches up here in around 15th position. I mean, looking right here, Hunter Madalinas, playoff driver, kind of stuck further in the back. He's still having a race almost like he's at the front of the field there with Eric Kep.
Now, one thing we've seen with these drivers over the last few years, and especially this season, is they've all done a lot of learning from each other. Some of the best guys in this league, whether they've intended to or not, have become kind of pseudo role models for some of these drivers, and we've seen I would call it the talent gap, tighten up a lot over the last year and a half, and now we are seeing some phenomenal but clean racing on the track, something that we might not have seen this time last year, as Nathan Jump almost runs over Eric Kep. Eric Kep checks up hard off the corner to avoid hitting the wall. That was almost a big moment for both of those drivers.
Yeah, a less chaotic battle that was on the track. Thought it was going to develop, but ended up being quite simple, was for the second spot. Zach Henry is now finds himself in the second position ahead of Elliott Henderson after Elliott Henderson let him by. And so now Zach Henry, previous leader, has to run down Ashton Lawson, who has a 2.2 second gap over the field, and it only seems to be growing.
Yeah, Ashton Lawson. If this race goes green from here, I think Ashton Lawson stands to be the biggest benefactor of pit strategy we've probably seen all season. I mean, he was able to just make the most on that restart with fresh tires, getting through those drivers. Some of the fastest drivers in the field who are on wildly older tires, and as this race progresses, I think we're going to see Lawson being in the catbird seat for maybe to steal, maybe not steal, but to get a well-deserved victory after the season he's had.
Yeah, driver who goes from strong championship contender last season to missing it this season ought to be a swan song season for him, as he just tries to at least get a victory and put that ticker next to his name. And right now, it looks to be the race he's gonna lose in his own hands, because he is 2.3 seconds ahead of Zachary Henry in second, as we're still seeing this absolutely intense battle back here, right around Nathan Jump, another one of our playoff contenders.
Scanning the driver radio, Kyle. Oh my! I gotta stop reading. I gotta stop reading our messages here. But doing a little bit of scanning of the driver audio, seeing what these guys' plans are, and nobody's showed their cards just yet. Looking through the pack, if I can get my timing and scoring to cooperate here. I'm noticing that those drivers that stayed out.
Yeah, they should be pitting relatively soon here. I mean, they are currently on a 48-lap stint for Josh Cottle, the furthest one who stayed out on the previous caution. I mean, at that pace, I still think they're going to struggle to make it to the end. If they somehow make it to lap 100, it'll be an absolute miracle, because we saw guys pitting lap 46, 47, as we're seeing contact there with Hunter Madalinas onto Matthew Durr, and drivers taking the apron to try and gain spots back here.
What on God's green earth has gotten into this mid pack? These drivers are all over the place. But sorry about that, Alex. I lost my train of thought. Got a little distracted by something on my end, but I'm beginning to wonder if these drivers that did not pit under that last caution, I'm wondering if they don't have more fuel than we might have assumed, and I think I would imagine they're just going to ride it out and maybe try to short pit just a little bit to get the advantage as we come up on the end of this race.
Well, I'm definitely going to be looking out on a few guys here. Josh Cottle, RJ Williams, and Jake Miller are three of the most interesting, because they're the furthest up the field that didn't pit on the previous caution. And right now, all three of them simultaneously, as we talk about it, come down the pit lane. 50 laps on the dot for those drivers. They made it on fuel. A little bit longer than the previous run, but understandable given, you know, the caution laps and everything that they had. But man, they're not going to be able to make it to the end. 50 laps is more laps than we currently have left, and I think that was stretching it to the absolute limit for those three.
Yeah, and if that was stretching it to the limit, they're going to have to do a little bit of they're going to have to do a lot of saving if they want to make it to the end of the race. Something else I just noticed is, look who is up to the 9th position. Austin Moore, who I think we had both maybe written off by the 20-lap mark of this race, up to the 9th position after what I would call significant, at least body damage to that 91 truck. Had the opportunity to come down pit road into yellow a couple times, got 2 lucky dogs to get himself back on the lead lap, and maybe not a lot of straight line speed, but he is driving with the rest of these guys just as good as anybody else.
Doesn't seem like it has a lot of right rear speed as well, as we've seen him get loose several times off the corner exits here. I mean, that right rear is probably the most damaged portion of this vehicle, and it's showing as he comes off the corner and really slides that back end out. But it must be working for him, because he's passed a lot of guys with brand new vehicles in front of him, and now he's the leader of the absolute gang fight that we've been watching pretty much this entire run so far. See if he can make any further progress, as he seems to be on the strategy that's going to allow people to make it to the end. Is now Nathan Jump, who also stayed out, but mind you, pit later than some of these other drivers, finally comes down the pit lane. Senzi as well, Gonzalez we see down the pit lane. These drivers, they made it 50 laps, but we've got, for at least them, 51 laps to go. they'll be right on the button in terms of it, and I'm trying to see what's happening here with the leader. That's Ashton Lawson, a 28 Shiflet, I believe, on new tires, trying to get by him. But I don't know if they'll make it. I really don't. They made it 46, 47 laps in the first run. Require you to save a good bit, which is quite hard to do around here because the corners are so long. It's really hard to save a lot of fuel without running too slowly. And I'm not sure if they'll be able to make it 51 laps from here.
Yeah, the longest I've seen, I think the longest I've seen before somebody hit pit road was, like you said, Alex, 50 laps. So if that's them stretching it to the absolute limit, it is going to be close. Anybody on track now who still has yet to make what I assume will be their final pit stop could probably make it from here, but what I'm imagining now is these drivers that are out there are going to, I imagine they'll just run it out of gas, run it as long as they can.
I mean, for them, yeah, they pretty much have to by this point, because I think for certain every guy who pit on the previous caution should be able to make it to the end on fuel. I don't think there'll be any situation where they don't. I mean, we're already approaching the point where they're going to be able to make it if they were to pit right at this moment. And they still have 4 or 5 laps to go before they end up having to pit to the end of the race.
Well,
So,
Alex, despite me, I'm having a little bit of technical issue here. iRacing just closed for no good reason, so I'm going to try to get us launched back into the race as quick as I can, but keep us posted on what's going on the track.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be doing it radio style from here on out until that gets restarted. So, up inside the top 5 right now, Ashton Lawson, Zachary Henry, Elliott Henderson, Hunter Brittle, and Aiden DuPont are top 5 right now. They still need to make a pit stop in around about 4, maybe 5 laps if they were to stretch it a little bit further for these guys. First driver who currently pit is Josh Cottle down in the 13th position. He's trying to run down Eric Kepf, who's in the 12th position, who's the first driver that did not pit. Trying to see if he could run down our leader, though, Ashton Lawson, who's the first truck ahead of him. He's about 1 corner away from him and catching him very quickly, running about over a second a lap faster each time by. Should be able to find himself on the lead lap. Question is, he stayed relatively close to Ashton Lawson throughout that run despite staying out on the older tires. Now, we know it's a problem for them on fuel. Don't think they can make it on fuel as Ashton Lawson comes down the pit lane this time by. It's going to allow Josh Cottle, RJ Williams, and several others to get themselves back onto the lead lap. But we may see the influx of a bunch of guys coming down the pit lane right now. So far, Ashton Lawson, the only one to come down. That gives the lead away to Zach Henry, who's going to find himself in the lead ahead of Elliott Henderson by a good margin. Just about 2.7 seconds ahead of him. That's almost a full straightaway here at New Hampshire. And yeah, as the laps go by, looks like nobody pit on the same lap as Ashton Lawson. Strategy for him to try and get as much track position as he possibly can, hoping that a caution does not come out. We saw how much chaos that ensued last time by when that ended up happening. Still not enough people coming down the pit lane right now. We're hearing that the 49 of Ashton Lawson's coming down the pit lane. As finally we have returned back to the race with visuals, ladies and gentlemen. Ashton Lawson out on track just in front of Jake Miller right there, who's on a strategy that might not make him to the end of the race. Ashton Lawson in prime position to win this race.
Zach Henry hitting pit road now, and yeah, I think you're right, Alex. I think Ashton Lawson, he's gonna be in the catbird seat now if we see this race go green to the end.
I mean, we saw a few cautions, yeah, but we've also seen some wrecks that didn't end up being cautions, because it seems like when these guys make contact side by side, they don't end up spinning around. They just kind of get sent up the track, and this track's wide enough to not really end up having that turn into a pileup, which typically is where a lot of cautions come out. So we're seeing a bunch of guys come around. Elliott Henderson's coming down the pit lane. Hunter Brittle we're seeing here come down the pit lane. But Ashton Lawson was the first truck to come down pit lane. and then Zach Henry inherited the lead, and just those few laps difference is going to allow Ashton Lawson to have a absolutely ginormous gap over Zach Henry. Over 4-second gap it is for Ashton Lawson as the field will cycle out. Only driver to not pit is once again Ross Brockman, kind of hoping for a caution to come from somewhere and put him in a prime position to have a good run, but as Ashton Lawson catches up to him about 2 corners away right at the moment as they enter turn 3 and closing rapidly. Not sure if that's going to end up happening this time by.
Now Ross Brockman, he's doing it again. He's going to run this thing out of gas and see if he might catch a yellow and play a little bit of spoiler with his front guys. But no, you're right, Alex. Ashton Lawson, a 3-second lead. Oh, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. Ashton Lawson's going to have about a 1.5 second lead over... Oh, I am all over the place here. Josh Cottle, I just realized all my stints are reset, Alex. Josh Cottle is on, what, 20 lap older tires than everyone else, I would assume?
Josh Cottle is currently 14 laps into the run, just about 10 laps older than Ashton Lawson at the moment.
Okay, so I'm definitely thinking we can maybe write Cottle off if we go green. His next competitor, RJ Williams, Zach Henry, yeah, I don't see any way anybody can catch Ashton Lawson if they go green.
Yeah, Zach Henry is the first driver to have hit on this most recent cycle, and he is currently about 4 seconds back, actually maybe 3.5 by this point, accounting to where Ashton Lawson is. And so now, as Ashton Lawson approaches our current leader of Ross Brockman, he's going to get himself back onto the lead lap. The strategy for Ross Brockman to try and trap the field a lap down is so far not working out exactly as planned, as he's going to have to pit and probably lose a lap himself.
He didn't just get back on the lead lap, he took the lead. I didn't realize, Ross Brockman, he's in the middle of the front runners now, so Ashton Lawson.
Little mixed up. Let's not talk about that too much, all right?
So Ashton Lawson to the race lead. Brockman falling like a rock. Zach Henry, Josh Cottle, RJ Williams, your top 5. Senzi not far behind in 6th. And I think the writing might be on the wall for Ashton Lawson, but anything can happen in these Great Lakes Truck Series races. If anybody knows that, it's these drivers. And Alex, I think it's something that our friend Kyle would tell us every week is it's not over till it's over. So with 37 laps left now in this race, we still have there's still a lot that can happen.
A lot that can happen for sure, because there is still a pack of about 4 trucks on much older tires than some of their competitors that are approaching them. And that's a gaggle that can easily lead into a caution once these faster guys catch up to him, as Ross Brockman finally takes it down pit road from the 2nd position to make his pit stop. Pitting a lot later than the rest of the field, looking for the caution, did not end up getting it for him, so he will fall way to the back. But the next driver on newer tires is Elliott Henderson behind Zach Henry and Ashton Lawson, our leaders. And he still has to make it through Senzi, RJ Williams, and Josh Cottle, who are currently battling as Senzi's got a couple lap newer tires and taking it to the inside of these drivers. Oh, bit of contact. Oh, and Josh Cottle might go around. He's gonna save it. Incredible save there from Josh Cottle.
What an incredible save from Josh Cottle. That had a yellow flag written all over it, but Tower kept the flag in their hands, and Josh Cottle with what is undoubtedly going to be the save of the race through turns 1 and 2.
All it would have taken was a slip of the finger, and there would have been a caution out from the flag stand, but I think the flagger had his jaw to the floor watching Josh Cottle save that race car. As now that's allowed Elliott Henderson to very quickly get by them and make the pass. So the troubles I thought for these newer tires to try and get by him did not end up being that troublesome. It was between the guys on older tires that nearly brought out the caution.
looking at the top 10, Alex, I kind of glossed over it, but Elliot Henderson is running in that 4th position. Could potentially get up to 3rd before the end of this race. He's the 2nd highest running playoff driver this race. And really, when you think about it, Elliot Henderson might be one of the more surprising stories of this season. Made it into the playoffs in the last race before the playoffs began, and in a win-in-you're-in scenario, he got in on that wild race at Texas, and we've seen Elliott return kind of to his old self here in the playoffs, and he's going to be sitting pretty, at least as of right now, coming out of this first round at in the round of 8.
Yeah, it's been a lot cleaner execution in the back half of this year here for Elliot Henderson. Basically, all it took was a win, and it flipped the switch, and he's run significantly better from there on out. Really never seemed to be in any serious danger outside of maybe Watkins Glen, where he had the incident with him and Brandon Barkuski early on to get eliminated. But outside of that one incident, he's been pretty much clean the entire playoff run. And with a nice possible 3rd place finish here, 2nd of all the playoff drivers, he could find himself sitting nice and pretty heading into Hickory, which is bound to be pure chaos.
Yeah, I don't think any of us. I think Hickory is going to be probably one of the most surprising races we'll have all season. So that'll be definitely something you'll want to tune in for next week. Looking towards the back of the top 5, RJ Williams and Josh Connell just kind of having fun with each other with 30 laps to go. I've seen them bump, bang, get loose, do everything but crash here for the 5th position.
I mean, it nearly was a crash between the two of them after RJ Williams got to the back bumper of Josh Connell. Mind you, Josh Connell, a playoff driver. He's got to try and stay up as much as he can. The problem is for both of them there is they're on a strategy that I don't think there's any way they make it to the end on fuel. It's just simply too many laps they'd have to save, and with the pace they're running, despite being slower than the leaders, it's still fast enough that they're still basically running the pace of a normal run. I don't think they're trying to make it to the end. I just think they're hoping for a caution by this point.
Yeah, I think they made their bet and they have to lay in it now. They're running good. They're running good for right now, but yeah, you said it, Alex. I mean, they're just gonna think there's really nothing else they can do. You could argue that maybe they could short pit and try to make it work that way, but you run the risk of short pitting and having a yellow come out, and then you're really in a bad position, coming down to 20 laps to go in this race.
Now, the one thing these two want to make sure is that they aren't the cause of the caution. I mean, as much as they want one, they don't want to be the cause of it, as they've been battling extremely hard. I mean, we saw them nearly spin earlier. I saw RJ Williams nearly tail whip the wall out of turn 2 and cause some chaos there. These two have been going at it. Caudill finally gets by, and now Hunter Brittle behind them on a little bit newer tires, looking to close off what has so far been a really clean and well-executed race for him, and could find himself inside the top 5, if not a 4th spot, if he could get up to Michael Senzi.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier in the race. Hunter Brittle, one of those drivers that he's put together good races this year and been involved in a number of incidents that are just through no fault of his own. Getting turned, having incidents happen in front of him, things like that, just things that he can't avoid. But the way it's looking right now, he is on track to a 7th place finish, possibly even a top 5.
Yeah, it looks like because of the strategy of the drivers ahead of him, he technically does not need to make the pass on these drivers. I think it's just going to end up happening purely because the newer tires are going to be faster. Because at some point, the drivers ahead of him are going to have to pit, and he'll just get the spots by default due to that. The only thing he's got to make sure of is that the nearest driver who's on a similar strategy is Hunter Madalinas, but he's down in the 11th position, kind of behind Nathan Jump, who is right on the fringe number of making it to the end. He has to go about 51 laps to make it to the finish. That's a driver I want to look at, because he's in a position where if he manages to save enough fuel to somehow make it 51 laps to the end, we've seen some fuel miracles in this series, but he could find himself a driver that has kind of been a little bit silent in this playoffs, but has just snuck his way through to the next round. Have a pretty standout performance by taking an odd strategy early in the race that sets him up for a call to the finish to have a decent finishing spot.
Yeah, sometimes when you make that early strategy call, you never know what you're going to get from it. And I would bet that this is not the situation Nathan Jump thought he would be in. But I also don't think he's going to be complaining too much. If he can stretch that fuel, make it to the end, snag what by my count, could even be a top 6, top 5 finish. I don't think he's going to have anything to complain about heading into Hickory.
I believe we may have just lost Michael Senzi on the racetrack. He has just simply disappeared from what was the 4th position. So that moves about everybody up a spot here. Until he could eventually find himself back into the race. It's an unfortunate ending for that driver, but a driver bound to make a pit stop at some point or another, as we're watching Hunter Madalinas make his charge forward a little bit and try and get by that 29 truck and possibly even the one truck in front of him.
Yeah, we're starting to see the comers shuffle up to the front of the pack as this run goes on. Hunter Madalinas, the 9 truck running in the 9th position, he's actually coming up on Nathan Jump quickly here. So yeah, we're going to see him probably make easy work of him as we come up on the 20 lap to go marker.
Currently for Nathan Jump trying to calculate the fuel here as we see Hunter Brittle finally get to the inside and get around RJ Williams on the older tires. Nathan Jump, as he comes around turn 4 to cross the line to match the leader's lap, he's going to be 32 laps into the run. 20 to go. That means he actually has to make it not just 51 laps, he has to make it 52 laps to the finish. And that might not sound like much adding an extra lap on, but when the furthest fuel run we saw was 50 laps, that might kill him. And
are you seeing what I'm seeing?
I believe we may have just lost our leader from the race. And possibly several drivers at the front. Multiple drivers are starting to fall out of the event. What's going on?
Yeah, Ashton Lawson. Yeah, I'm showing him as he is out of the server. He's the only driver I'm seeing for right now that has also left. So that's gonna change things a lot. That is gonna give the provisional lead to Zach Henry, coming up on 18 laps to go. Wow. I don't know what to say. That's not the first time this season. Yeah, it's not the first time this season we've seen Ashton Lawson have some connection issues. But what a moment to have it happen. That's going to hand the lead and the potential win over to Zach Henry, who has an 8-second lead over second place Elliott Henderson.
Well,
wow.
Absolute calamity for Ashton Lawson, who is having a phenomenal run to the finish. Looked like he was going to easily have the victory if this were to go clean to the end, but no. Zach Henry has been gifted by the grace of gods to get himself into the lead, 7.5 seconds in front of Elliott Henderson. The problem right now is Austin Moore, another playoff driver, trying to stop himself from going a lap down, is battling our leader extremely hard. He wants to try and stay on the lead lap in case a caution were to come out. He's in the 13th spot with that damaged truck.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm Zach Henry, you've got 8 seconds. You've got 8 seconds to lose. There is no sense at this point trying to do anything with these lapped cars. You know, you just let these guys, let them take advantage of you. Let them get themselves back in the lead lap and just save. I mean, I'm in this moment I'm blanking, but I believe a win technically or essentially will lock him into the final 4. And this is going to be huge for a driver like Zach Henry heading into Hickory next week.
Yeah, with Ashton Lawson winning, this was just going to turn into a race where we saw a big points shift, but we couldn't guarantee anybody making it anywhere. But now, all of a sudden, with Ashton Lawson, the non-playoff driver who was dominating the back half of this race, dropping out, this puts playoff drivers 1, 2, 3 on the racetrack, meaning at least one of them is going to end up winning the race and make themselves into the championship 4.
Yeah, and as we talk about the playoffs, you have to feel bad for Ashton Lawson. This isn't the first time this season he's had connection issues, but this might be the most apparent time because Ashton Lawson was cruising to this win. I mean, lest something happened, he was going to take the checkered flag in 13 laps, and now that's been relinquished to Zach Henry, who is still maintaining that 8-second lead over Elliott Henderson. So no competition for Zach Henry as we take 12 to go at the line, Alex.
12 to go at the line for the 12 truck. Playoff seeded, I believe, is number 3 in the oh no, he's actually tied for 3rd, as him, Caudle, and Henderson were all tied for the 3rd playoff spot, but he'll lock himself as the number 1 playoff seed if he were to win this race coming around turn 4 to make 11 to go. 7 seconds ahead of Elliott Henderson in 2nd place, and it's not even close for any driver looking to catch up to him, as he just pulled out an extra 10th that last time by.
I'm almost speechless, Alex. I mean, the way the race changed that quickly in that short a period of time. We're seeing Hunter Madalinas and Brett Kingcott battle hard for the 6th position on the racetrack. Still looking at RJ Williams and drivers that are on that strategy to see if they're going to be able to make it to the end. Still leaning in the direction of no, but with as big as the gaps are on the track, some of these guys have the room to just start aggressively saving with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, but the problem is, though, you lose about a lap coming down and taking 4 tires. Now, you can try and take 2 tires, but you still have to go through the entire pit lane.
Yeah, a driver like RJ Williams, he's got 10 seconds on Hunter Madalinas. So he can afford to maybe just aggressively save fuel. Seeing a little bit of smoke on the front straightaway. I'm not sure what that's about, but a 10-second gap that he's maintaining with that much older tires. I mean, I'm starting to think that some of these guys with aggressive saving, or maybe they just always had that much fuel and we're stupid, might be able to make it to the end.
Well,
but as I
yes,
say that,
I hate to cut you off, but the one driver we were looking at being on the fringe of saving to the end, Nathan Jump, he's already come down the pit lane, and I believe that may have just been RJ Williams right there who came down the pit lane as well. So these drivers, no way they're making it to the end. The only way they were going to is if they pit on the last caution, and unfortunately for their strategy, they have not, and it has put them at a detriment.
yeah, I spoke too soon. I tried to will it into existence for those guys, but they're going to lose a lot of positions in the closing laps of this race. Not too consequential for the playoffs. It's gonna tighten our playoff drivers up just a little bit. Zach Henry walking away with the win. It
actually is, Jeff, because Josh Caudle was part of that group. So is Jake Miller. The two of them playoff drivers, and for Jake Miller, actually in the back half of the playoff grid, it's going to really be a struggle for those two guys, as they're going to lose a lot of spots on track, actually falling behind, you know, this case of Austin Moore, who we were talking about. He got put into the wall early in this event, and he's going to end up finishing ahead of these guys.
Yeah, sometimes I think it might pay a little bit to have your issues early. Get it out of the way. You tend to do a little bit better when you're on the offense the entire race as opposed to the defense. Josh Cottle's going to merge back onto the track in the 11th position. He's going to get past Eric Kep. And at this point, he's just going to be... He's going to try to be attacking Jake Miller for a top 10. As we only have 5 trucks on the lead lap. Zachary Henry leading with 5 laps to go, 4 to go at the line. And Alex, this might be one of the more interesting races we've seen all year as strategy goes.
I mean, these drivers had the opportunity to be on the newer tires. They saw how much damage it did with Nathan Jump making his way through the field on new tires that were only a few laps newer. It wasn't even that much longer since they pit. That time, it was over double-digit lap time as Jake Miller, I believe, may have just gotten into the wall. I think he took fuel only in his pit stop to try and shorten the stop some. Struggling a little there, got passed by Josh Cottle, but I mean, these guys had the opportunity, but just didn't capitalize on it when the caution came out, and it's cost them dearly.
Gonna be watching Josh Cottle to see if he can maybe grab another position or two in the next 3 laps. Obviously, he has those fresh tires, and he is going to be coming up on Austin Moore and Ross Brockman like the proverbial bat out of hell. Zach Henry going to be coming off turn 4, and he's going to take 2 laps to go at the line.
Yeah, you talk about Josh Cottle. He's actually has a lot of speed right now. He's catching Austin Moore ahead of him, but that was almost 2... That was a second and a half that time by. He goes right by him. This is inside the top 10, mind you. So he was so far ahead, despite being on the worst strategy, that he's still going to come away with a decent finish.
Well, I mean, he is hauling the mail right now. He's gonna pass Ross Brockman and Brandon Barkuski. There's no way he's not. Wondering if he didn't take at least right side tires on that pit stop. Zach Henry is going to have taken the white flag. We'll see how that shakes out at the end of the race, but it's going to be Zach Henry with almost a 9-second lead over second place Elliott Henderson, cruising to the victory here today in New Hampshire.
Coming through turns 3 and 4, Zach Henry, after unfortunate circumstances from his competitors, but was strong all day, put him in the right spot, rounds turn 4 and crosses the line. Winner today at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and locks himself into the round of 4, the final 4 coming up in a few weeks. He'll be one of the championship favorites after this victory tonight.
That might be the one of the most Great Lakes style races we've seen in a long time. A lot of strategy, a lot of drama. And Zach Henry is going to be the one who profits from it all. He's going to win the race, lock himself into the round of 4. And Alex, I really don't know what to make of what we just saw. A very good race here at New Hampshire, but wow.
Wow is simply the only thing you can say to this event. It was looking like it was going to be clean and green to the end. We weren't going to see any drastic situations unfold outside of the oncoming strategy struggles that we knew some people were having, but little did we expect what was to come with Ashton Lawson falling out of the race, changing these playoffs in what has got to be one of the biggest playoff deciding moments in playoff history.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to shake things up heading into Hickory, which is already a wild card in of itself. Going to be a fantastic next 2 races just to see how this shakes out for these drivers.
Well, how it's going to shake out is that Zach Henry is going to be in the final 4, battling for a championship. We've seen him be one of the strongest, if not the strongest driver the entire season, and once again capitalizes on his good speed. Even when he wasn't the winning truck tonight, he finds a way, by grace of God, by grace of whatever, he finds himself winner tonight at New Hampshire in what was a thrilling and eventful race. And Jeff, I think everybody's just about ready to come and talk to us. And I think what is almost as big of a shock as our winner tonight is the shock third place finish from Hunter Brittle. First time here in the booth, I think. Hunter Brittle, you put the race together and you got yourself a third place finish. How you feeling?
I'm feeling really freaking good, guys. I really wanted this one.
I mean, wanted that one for sure. We talked about you a couple times tonight. Had a strong run pretty much the entire race. I mean, seemed like the biggest call of the night was to just pit when that last caution came out, put yourself on the right strat, and not only put yourself on the right strategy, but outran some good, solid drivers tonight to get yourself the third place finish. I mean, what was different about the track tonight that allowed you to have such great speed?
I honestly don't know. Like, a couple tracks this year have surprised me. Like this one and what was it, Five Flags we were at a couple weeks ago, where I was running up in the top 5 there for a little bit on that one too. But those two tracks, I mean, they both drive like short tracks, and it's surprised me for sure. But yeah, just being able to run up front with these guys and have a good, solid, clean race for the first time in a good long time feels like I've been snake bitten this entire season. It feels freaking amazing, and I mean, to be able to get a top 3 a freaking interview spot with you guys, and then my roommate Elliot Henderson getting second is pretty damn cool. So we're happy down here in Florida. Not really sure what happened with Ashton and Senzi's power. I hope that they're not too far from us. I hope that doesn't reach us here soon. But yeah, just being able to run up front and run clean is really what I was looking for, and I'm glad I got it done today.
Ran up front, ran clean, obviously benefited from a problem ahead of you, but aside from that, you're kind of a little bit in the thick of it, but then also at the same time, you were also kind of on your own, just running your own race when everything started to clear up. I mean, what was the battles like tonight, and how did you have to deal with them?
Oh, I mean, battling specifically with RJ, like I feel like I couldn't get away from the guy as much as I tried. Battling with him was, I mean, it was stressful because this track scares the living daylights out of me. And I know he's really good here, but battling with him was a lot of fun. I got a lot of respect for him, and I think he has a lot of respect for me. We haven't had too many problems, but so yeah, the battling was just intense. I physically was shaking there every time we would go on a restart because I was just that scared that something was going to happen, and that it almost did on that when Ashton got turned there in front of me and Elliot ran into the back of me, gave me some damage. But it's just what a race! Like, I hope y'all had fun watching it.
Oh, it was definitely a fantastic race from up here in the booth. I mean, probably one of, if not the best one of the season. You guys did great out there. I mean, really put on a show for us. So congratulations for that, but congratulations as well for the third place finish. And thank you for coming in to talk to us.
Absolutely, I appreciate it, guys. I love that we can have these races broadcast to the world and really promote the community. I mean, it's every time I come in here, I try and say something good about the league and the group that we've got. It's great to be able to put this on and showcase how good of a league and a community we are. So it's an honor to be able to come up in here and have you guys put this on for us. So I appreciate y'all as well.
And we appreciate having you guys down there on the racetrack creating a show for us.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't speak highly enough of them.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Hunter Brittle, our third place finisher. And then right in front of him, the first of 2 playoff drivers we're going to be talking to tonight, Elliot Henderson, with a solid run tonight. We actually found out where that front end damage came from in our previous interview, so I guess we'll start off with that one. We noticed you had some nose damage on the vehicle. Did that affect your speed at all, despite finishing second?
No, didn't seem to, at least. I mean, it felt like initially it did, but I guess it was just a checkup. I think the leaders kind of got together and just stacked up the whole line, and I got into Brittle. But no, it didn't really seem to do anything, which was Fine with me. I was praying it wouldn't blow up or anything, because sometimes when you do that at these short tracks with the temps and everything the truck's at and having to shift and all that stuff, it might just blow the engine or something. But no issue, and it ran pretty fine. I just didn't have the pace for Zach and Ashton there.
I mean, you say you didn't have the pace, but it definitely looked like you had the pace on those restarts, absolutely sending it to make up a bunch of positions. Looked like you were one of the guys able to figure out the passes going on, especially on those chaotic restart zones, and looked like you might have tried to take the lead away from Ashton Lawson as you two were driving through the field. Might have been one of the guys we were looking at to get the victory tonight, but maybe didn't get away with that, but you still came away with a fantastic second place finish, setting yourself up well for what is bound to be a chaotic race at Hickory. Tell us what you're thinking about going forward after having this finish.
I'm getting tired of finishing second every time. I think this is my 23rd second place finish in the league, so we're gonna have to turn that number back around and start putting together wins again. But yeah, the restarts, I knew that I just had to be aggressive. I think I rewatched the Kentucky race and I heard Kyle talking about how I wasn't didn't seem like I've been my old self this season, and I think we just flipped a switch these last 2 weeks, and we're just going to be more aggressive and stop kind of just taking it easy, stop worrying about trying to help teammates, and just kind of focus on ourselves and see what we can do at the end of the day. Because the more you sit there and try to work with people and negotiate traffic and everything, there could have been a point where I could have tried to let Madalenas down in front of me or something. It's like you're hurting yourself. So I was super aggressive with Zach, and we talked about it afterwards in the waiting room there. I don't want to race that hard, but at the end of the day, like, a lot of these guys will race you that hard, and you have to race hard at these short tracks. And I think that's what's been my problem is I'm aggressive to a fault, and 9 times out of 10 it seems to get me in more trouble than not. So I try not to do it. But tonight it really just worked out, and we were able to pull home second again. But I just need to mention that I feel like Ashton definitely had the better car. I know Zach's probably gonna say the same thing, but I just feel bad for his connection and the fact that he lost out on that. Because man, that would have been a really good win, and genuinely would have been better for me points wise. Because now Zach's 9 up on us, and it would have benefited us to not have him locked into the next round. So it is what it is. But yeah, second place finish, really good, 2 in a row, and we'll go try to figure out Hickory next.
Go try and figure out Hickory indeed. And I mean, before I send you off here, Jeff over here on the other side of the booth actually said verbatim, seems like Elliot Henderson is back to his old self. So I guess he must have called it correct. Elliot came away with a fantastic second place finish and will head into the next race at Hickory with a good points cushion in front of some of his other competitors. So congratulations on that, Elliot, and we'll be seeing you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I mean, we'll have to see. There's obviously 4 other guys below the line that could win either of these next 2 weeks and make it really interesting. But, thanks to everyone that makes this go on. Awesome job to Hunter Brittle, new roommate, finishing third, second and third place finish. I mean, we'll get a 1-2 at some point this season, but cool to get a little Florida boy podium when the other 2 Florida boys fell out. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. And yeah, I'd like to imagine we're back to our old self, and we'll get it done these coming weeks, put ourselves in the final 4, and try to win that 4th championship, man.
Well, we'll be seeing what comes of it. Thank you for coming in to talk to us, and once again, congratulations.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, there's got to be a slightly disappointing, but still extremely grateful win after misfortune from his competitor. Zach Henry takes the victory tonight, gets himself into the final 4. How are you feeling, Zach?
A little mixed emotions there. It's obviously not the way that anybody would want to win. I think I was the 3rd fastest car on track behind Cotto, who was just lights out quicker than everybody. And fortunately for me, picked the wrong pit strategy, and then I wasn't going to catch Ashton there at the end. He definitely deserved the win and earned it. But I'll take it to lock into the final 4. So can't complain too much, right? I guess. I mean, sometimes that kind of stuff just happens.
Well, now that you don't have to worry about the race at Hickory, which was pretty much being beelined as the race of worry and panic for I imagine most of the playoff field heading into next week. Now that you can look forward and look ahead to what's to come, how do you feel knowing that you'll be safe to that point and you can just focus on the race at Atlanta?
Oh, that's the best part about this one, is not having to worry about Hickory. If it's anything like Five Flags, which I don't know why it wouldn't be, it's going to be tough to just avoid people kind of getting into you, and it's the kind of track that you don't really want to have to worry about, right? So it's a fortunate position to be in, and I definitely had the golden horseshoe, a very big golden horseshoe, sitting in my room here, because you can't get any luckier than what I just did.
Yeah, it seems to be that Zeus's lightning bolt came from your bedroom to take out Ashton Lawson's power and declare you the victor tonight. Because you ended up winning the race, still you have the special opportunity to go ahead and thank your friends, sponsors, and family members who helped you get the victory tonight.
I'm going to start with, as always, with the 2511 guys. Specifically for this week, I did a lot of practicing. Well, I did a couple practice sessions with Jordan, and we were both really quick. He was probably a little bit quicker than me, but had a little mess up in his qualifying run, and just unfortunately he got a little bit damaged starting mid pack. And then Chris and Brandon, they're always big helps during the races, and when they do have the time to hop in for a practice session once or twice a week, it shows, and it's obvious when it comes to race day. And then Nicholson, he's been a big help just with me in general, just learning how to race and improve across the board. And then I want to specifically give a massive shout out to Aiden DuPont. He ran fifth today at a non-plate track, and he was quick. He had really good long run pace, super consistent, and I'm really proud of him and what he did today. Let's see. I also want to shout out a family that's watching. I know that I've got some people that have started watching these races each week, and cool to win one for them. Let's see. Undercurrents for riding on the hood of the truck. You guys for doing the broadcast each and every week. And then also wanted to specifically shout out Mama Heller for once again sending me that wonderful 2511 mug, and then I know that she was telling Chris to give me a congratulations immediately after the race.
All right, well, congratulations again, Zachary Henry. Victor here tonight at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We'll be seeing you next week at Hickory, but I think more importantly, we'll be seeing you here in a few weeks at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Thank you for coming in to talk to us, and good luck in the playoffs going ahead.
All right, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our top 3 tonight at New Hampshire. A fantastic race, wouldn't you say so, Jeff?
Yeah, good race tonight. A race definitely befitting of the playoff drivers we have in the Great Lakes Truck Series, Alex. Let's take a look at the schedule for the rest of the season real quick. Next week, obviously, we're off to Hickory. Then October 25th, we'll be in Homestead. That is going to be an interesting race to see these drivers partake in. It'll be definitely interesting to see how they can handle that. And then November 1st, just 3 weeks from now, we'll be at Atlanta Motor Speedway to determine the championship driver in the Final Four, Alex.
Yeah, and obviously, again, we keep talking about Hickory. It is a totally different venue than to anything we've ever seen in any other NASCAR-style racing league or any form of NASCAR. NASCAR themselves has not even gone to that track in decades, so it's going to be an extremely interesting race to see who does well there, how chaotic it's going to be, and simply put, what strategy could there possibly be at that track when it's bound to be just such an up and down race for so many different drivers? That's the one we got to be looking at next week, so make sure you tune in Tuesday, 8 p.m. next Tuesday. Come back here and watch that race. I promise you it's going to be a crazy one.
Yeah, it'll set us up. It'll set the tone for the rest of this, Alex. Let's take a quick look at the at the finishing results for tonight. Obviously, Zach Henry makes off with the win. Elliot Henderson second, Hunter Brittle third, Hunter Madalena fourth, Aiden DuPont. Henry mentioned it in his interview, a solid top 5. Josh Cottle 6th, Shane Nicelonger 7th, Brandon Barkeski 8th, Ross Brockman 9th, and Austin Moore rounding out your top 10. In the 11th position, we have RJ Williams, Jake Miller in 12th, Eric Kempf in 13th, Nathan Jump in 14th, Gavin Fitzgerald in 15th, Brett Kingcott in 16th, Matthew Durr, Lewis Woodall, Rod Fosnow, and James Shiflett round up your top 20. And then the drivers who just kind of fell victim to circumstances tonight. 21st position, Michael Senzi fell out with, I believe, about 20 laps to go. He was able to race and finish laps down. Ashton Lawson saw him fall out from the lead with about 20 laps to go. Steven Sims involved in that early incident with Christopher Heller. Looks like he retired early, maybe due to some engine issues. Jordan Gonzalez, 72 laps down in 24th. Christopher Heller finished a cool 86 laps down in the 25th position, and then James Hayes, 26th after that early incident, Alex.
Yeah, it's just big problems, especially for Christopher Heller down there. Playoff driver who just had a, like we said, race-ending crash. We saw him go back out on track and try and limp his way to the finish, but he's going to be in a big hole heading into a race that now he's got to somehow climb points back when it's even easier to crash at Hickory than it was here.
Yeah, Hickory, I mean, we talk about Talladega all the time, Daytona as wildcard races, but Hickory might be the greatest wildcard the Great Lakes Truck Series will ever see. So we'll look forward to that next week. Be sure to tune in. The feature event starts at our usual time, 8 o'clock Eastern. Hearing some rumblings about heat races that might take place in lieu of qualifying, but that is something that I'll get more information on, and we will find out before that. But the main event takes place same time next week, Alex.
Yeah, and it's going to be a main event unlike any other main event we've ever seen before. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you got to tune in and see that one. And just as we start to head out here, we thank you from the FRN booth. I'm Alex Kolnix, and next to me was Jeff Johnson for tonight's event. Thank you for coming in to watch this race. Hopefully some of y'all rewatch this race, but hopefully, more than that, we'll be seeing you next week at Hickory.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.